everyone, welcome back to Wanderlust Books, and today I'm going to be doing a book review on Red Queen by Victoria Aveyard. So there's been a lot of hype about this book coming up because it is pretty much a new release. I had a lot of talk about it in the booktube community and also just the book community in general. So the really big thing that brought me toward this book is that it was a fantasy book, and I've been in a really big fantasy kick lately, but I really liked that it was a fantasy book with a twist. So the twist that it is that there are red-blooded people and silver-blooded people, and the red-blooded people are pretty much just the normal citizens of the world, kind of. They don't have anything special about them. They're just kind of servants. They're low-life people. And the silver people are like special gifted, and they have all these different kind of powers, and some of them can manipulate water and fire and the earth and the weather and all this other cool stuff. And so like any other kind of fantasy novel, there are kings, queens, princesses, princes, and servants. And so the main character is named Mare Barrow, and she is pretty much a normal citizen. She's a red-blooded person. She has a family, a mom and a dad, 3 brothers and a sister, and they all pretty much live in the lower class area. And Mare is pretty much the person that tries to get the most money for everyone. All her brothers are out on the war already, and she will certainly be going to the war soon, as long as she doesn't get a job that is a higher class type of job that can save her from this type of fate. So Mare has a best friend, and he just realized that he will be sent off to the army soon, and she wanted to save him by sending him somewhere safe, but this would cost a fortune and so much money, and she's been pretty much just pickpocketing random people to try to get money for her family, and she doesn't have this type of money to help and save him. So she goes to her sister and she asked her to bring her into the Silver Palace because this is where she could pickpocket a lot of people and find a lot of money and try to get all this other cool stuff to be able to sell to this guy and get some money to send her friend off. So while she's there, there become a lot of big problems. I'm not going to try to spoil anything for you guys because I really enjoy this book and I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But like it says in the premise, Mare realizes that she has special powers and that she's a mixture of red and silver. So the way this happens is that she is currently walking down the street. She tries to pickpocket some people, and this guy comes up to her and was like, hey, you shouldn't really do that, and all this other stuff. He walks her home and she leaves. And the next day, some people come get her, and she's been told that she's going to work in the palace now with the royals. And whenever she's there, she realizes that the guy that she was walking with that night is actually the king-to-be, the Prince Cal. And so while she's at the royal palace, she realizes throughout some angry dispute that she has these special powers and she can manipulate lightning. And so the family decides that since she is currently a red and that it is weird that she has these special powers, that they're going to trick everyone and say that she's a long-lost silver royalty and she's gonna live in their palace and marry their other son. It was a really great read. It had so many twists and turns, and I had no idea who to trust and where the book was gonna go, and the author did a fantastic job on making me really confused by the end of the book and really wanting more, and it was just a really great read, and it was pretty quick, which I don't usually get with fantasy novels, but since this was a kind of young adult book, it wasn't as complicated as usual. It is kind of like a more simpler one of Throne of Glass, and there wasn't as much going on, and it wasn't as complicated. Like, there's not all these different kind of worlds, and they don't really tell you as much about them as they would in other kind of fantasy novels, but it was a really great read overall anyway. I really enjoyed the character development in this novel. I think all of the characters had really great promise, and they had really great development by the end of the book. That is something that I really like to keep in mind whenever reading, is that I want the characters to grow and I want them to learn something, and I want them all to stand out in their own kind of way. Even the side characters had a lot of oomph to them, and they had a lot of development throughout the entire novel. And you do get to learn a lot about the characters throughout the entire novel, and so I really enjoyed the main character Mare. I thought she was really strong and independent, but she had a little bit of a soft side to her, and she was easily manipulated just like everyone else in the world, and she was kind of relatable in that kind of sense, even in a fantasy type of world. And I really enjoyed the main male lead, which was Cal, because he was kind of mysterious in the beginning. You didn't really know what was going on. By the end of the book, you realize that he's just like everyone else, and that he's going to, something's even happened to the brightest and the most brought up people in the world. And so they were a really good balance of the two main characters. This entire book is full of characters that were amazing, and they had lots of even a background story on just the tiniest characters, and you got to see a lot of the characters throughout other kind of storylines, and you got to see pretty much some kind of backstory on all of them, and it was really great to know that all of these characters would at least be some type of big involvement in the other books. I would really recommend this book to anyone who really enjoys fantasy reads, and I really like this. This had a twist in it, and that it wasn't like any other kind of fantasy book where it was about kings and queens and that was their only reason of being a fantasy novel. And it was really cool to read about this other type of premise, about the Bloods and the Blinds and how there's a whole other side to everybody, and it was just really interesting and really different, and I really enjoyed that part of the idea. There were so many twists and turns, and I had no idea who to trust, who to like anymore, and where the story was going. By the end of the book, I was completely shocked, and I had no idea. The last chapter was completely amazingly done and had an epilogue, which was great to know what was going to happen in the next book, because you would have been like, if that last chapter was the last chapter, I would have been like, what? I need to know what's happening literally right now, what's gonna happen. And the epilogue really helped me out with that that jolt of suspicion and that jolt of needing to know, and it really eased my pain, and I will be okay till the next book comes out. I mean, I would really like to have it right now, and I would love to have it to read, but I will just wait. I can wait now with that epilogue. It was worth it. So that's pretty much all I had to do for this review. I really don't know yet if I want to make spoiler reviews or non-spoiler reviews. I would love to talk about this book with anyone who has already finished it, because there were a lot of twists and turns, like I said, and I would love to know anyone's opinion on how they felt about those twists and turns. So if you did feel anything, or you did read this book and you want to talk about it with someone, please feel free to talk about it with me through my Twitter, Tumblr, or even the YouTube or the Goodreads, because I talk a lot on my Goodreads and also on my Tumblr. So if you'd like to follow any of those social medias, I'll put them in the link bar below, and you can follow them and talk to me about any books that are coming out, or this book in general, because this is the book I finished today and I really want to talk to someone about it. So thanks for watching this review. If you would, please let me know if you would like to have a non-spoiler type of review or a spoilery type of review, because I do like to talk about my feelings about books a lot, but I'm really afraid of spoiling people, especially when it's a new book that's just come out, and I really don't want to do that. But just really let me know if you would like to see my thoughts more in depth in my next reviews, because that is something that I've been thinking about doing, and I have been doing written reviews and they have been no spoilers, so I think it'd be really great to have these reviews being a little bit spoily. So thanks for watching, bye!